CBS 2 Morning News.
Right now on the CBS 2 News at 6:37, tornadoes reported across LaSalle County, and the damage is devastating. One person is dead, dozens of homes are destroyed.
Ottawa, one of the hardest hit areas as well. Governor Rauner will tour the area today as homeowners begin surveying the damage. We do have team coverage for you of those severe storms this morning. CBS 2 Susanna Song has a look at the damage in Naplate. Mike Puccinelli has been live in Ottawa all morning. Let's start off with him. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, good morning. We're about 85 miles southwest of the Loop right now. Behind me, you can see the intersection of Campbell and State Street. This is the picturesque river town of Ottawa, and definitely it has been ravaged by this tornado system. The late winter storm roared into the town of 19,000 people just before 5 o'clock. Many people saw the twister actually touch down. It tore apart homes, snapped trees, shattered windows, and knocked out power. One person was killed, and more than a dozen were injured. The storm prompted the governor to activate the state's Emergency Operations Center to help residents deal with the recovery. David Johnson Sr. is just hoping his son survives. The 31-year-old was hit and critically injured by a falling tree.
The wind blew and they were going across from one house to the other. He sustained injuries to his head.
We'd ask that people don't come to the area we're trying to keep the area as secure as possible, assess damage. Again, constantly looking, make sure there's no people injured or anything like that.
At last check, David Johnson Jr. was suffering from bleeding in the brain, among other injuries. The family, as you heard, just hoping he can pull through. Now, as we once again look live at the street, as we begin to see the sun come up, you can get a better look at this street, this one of many that is blocked right now by tree limbs, and police have blocked off many of the other streets, preventing us to get in there to really get a look at the damage, but we hope that we'll be able to get in there in the next few moments. Of course, the governor will be here at 9:30 this morning, where he has planned a news conference at the convalescence center that was struck, causing some 60 elderly residents of that center to be evacuated yesterday. Reporting live in Ottawa, Mike Puccinelli, CBS 2 News. Back to you, Lionel. Aaron.
Our hearts go out to those people in that town, Mike. Thank you.
Stay calm. Stay calm. It's okay. It's okay.
Really scary moments as a family spotted a tornado while driving in Washburn, Illinois. At least 8 houses in that town were damaged.
Here in the city, the storms left flooded viaducts as well. Chicago police blocking the roads as cars continue to get stuck at 63rd and State. Some drivers also tried driving through a flooded viaduct at 69th and Low. Also rescue in South Suburban Homewood for the very same reason. Firefighters pulling a child from that car that got stalled in water last night under a viaduct at Park and Dixie Highway. She was with her mom, who got out safely. Rescuers were able to push the car out of the way.
6:32 right now. Time to get a look at traffic and weather together. Good morning to you, Megan. How are things?
Yeah, now they're okay, but that will not be the case when people wake up and see the damage that has been done by the tornado activity and that was out over western parts of our area last night. Now we're talking about several reports of tornadoes, in fact 7 to be exact, but the National Weather Service has to send crews out, survey teams, and they'll do that in a couple hours time. They'll let us know if this was several tornadoes that touched down a couple of times, if there were 7 separate tornadoes, or if it was just perhaps 2 that touched down several times. So they don't know yet, therefore we don't know yet, but we do know that there were reports of tornado activity in Bennington, in fact 2 of them there, 1 in Washburn, 1 in Standard, 1 in Ottawa. That is a confirmed tornado. There was 1 casualty there. Marseille's another tornado report, and another out here in Morris. And so at this point, we're looking at calming weather conditions, dropping temperatures, basically dry out there right now, but I can see rain/snow back on off to the north and west, and that is working in our general direction, set to arrive here as a rain, then eventually a chance of snow a little bit later on today. Now, there are no weather alerts out there at the moment. Temperatures are currently dropping. We're to 41 degrees at Gary and Midway, 42 O'Hare. And Derek, we're going to see a little bit of snow before this day is done.
All right, Megan. Well, we've been talking about it for a while, and here it comes. Right now, we're looking at delays as we go inbound on the Dan Ryan at 31st Street. 31st Street in, really, it'll start at 47th Street, and I'll show you that when we get to the maps. But the inbound trip will now take 30 minutes from 95th to downtown. On the Bishop Ford, we have slower traffic from Sibley to 130th Street, 17 minutes to get to the Dan Ryan. And then again at 47th Street, we slow down. We really slow down. 15 miles an hour are the speeds that we're looking up there at 31st. 31st Street, and it will continue that way and get slower into the Burn interchange. Aaron and Lionel?
Derek, thank you. We continue our team coverage right now of the tornadoes.
Let's get over to CBS 2 Susanna Song in Naplate, Illinois. Good morning, Susanna.
Good morning, Lionel and Aaron. This is just one glimpse, one picture of the destruction left behind here in Naplate. If we pan across this residential street, you can see the destruction. Utility poles down, debris scattered across the residential street, several homes damaged here, signs down, trees down. Just an incredible sight here. Moments ago, we did hear from the fire chief, John Nevins. He estimates about 50 of the 200 homes that are here in this town had some sort of damage. This is a very small town outside of Ottawa. Only about 500 people live here. There were several injuries, just minor. A few people did have to go to the hospital last night. The tornado is believed to have come from the west and tore through the town yesterday evening. Sirens went off 15 minutes before touchdown, which helped save lives.
So we're very thankful. People are going to be disrupted in their lives by the damage that it caused them, but we're really fortunate that there were just minor injuries.
It's bad. Windows are shattered. I have no roof. It's just bad.
A live look now here at the destruction. You can see a piece of tarp now hanging from one of the utility poles. If we pan down, more debris on the street. You can see the fire chief to my left walking down with what appears to be a resident. Just so much destruction here, and fire chief also cautioning residents not to just come out right away this morning, even though they probably have a lot of anxiety to want to clean up. Just take your time, let officials go through and assess the damage first. Again, so much damage here in the small town of Naplate. We should get a better idea when the sun is officially out to know exactly what kind of damage this tornado left behind. We are live in Naplate. Susanna Song, CBS 2 News.
Yeah, really just devastating for those families. Susanna, thank you. The Red Cross also setting up an emergency shelter in the gym at Ottawa Township High School to help the victims whose homes were damaged by the tornado. Volunteers you see here are bringing in food, water, and other supplies. We're told no one spent the night, but the Red Cross is preparing to serve a warm breakfast to everyone this morning.
All right, here, take a look at this huge tornado. This is in Ottawa. It was one of several reported in LaSalle County. The National Weather Service will head there today to get a better idea of just how many tornadoes actually touched down. But the recovery effort, of course, is already underway. James Joseph from the Illinois Emergency Management Agency is on the phone with us this morning. Good morning. Mr. Joseph, can you tell us how are the agencies from across the state responding?
Yeah, so we had a great deal of local mutual aid first. We had fire service and police mutual aid throughout the area that was supporting in the immediate response, and we have state agencies that are standing by to assist as needed. We haven't had many requests for state agency support yet, but we do have the Illinois Department of Transportation helping in some communities. We do have the Illinois State Police helping out with security and providing additional support for traffic control, specifically in the Ottawa area, as well as other parts of southern Illinois. But like you said, now we're waiting for the Weather Service now to confirm some of these tornadoes as they get out this morning. We had reports of anywhere from 15 to 16 different touchdowns throughout the state of Illinois yesterday. So a very busy night for our state team as well as our responders on the ground.
Yeah, big morning ahead as well. Really quickly, the governor activating the State Emergency Operations Center, as we mentioned. How is that helping, though, with the cleanup efforts? What exactly does that do?
So the State Emergency Operations Center being active, the governor doing that makes every state resource available. So if there's, like I mentioned, we have state police, we have Illinois Department of Transportation that are supporting a variety of efforts that are occurring. That makes one phone call, the one phone call to the state, and we have all those state agencies and those resources available in our Emergency Operations Center in Springfield, so we can get the resources as quickly as possible to the impacted communities to help them now move into the recovery phase of this event.
Yeah, really all hands on deck. James Joseph joining us, from the Illinois Emergency Management Agency this morning.
And remember, you can always get weather alerts straight to your smartphone or tablet. Just download the CBS 2 Weather app, find it in the App Store or on Google Play.
Still ahead this morning, President Trump putting the spotlight on Chicago once again during his presidential address.
And we aren't the only ones dealing with storm damage this morning. This is the devastation in Missouri, where rescues went well into the night.
Looking at a forecast out there today that does call for snow after yesterday's very May-like storm system. We've got a couple temperatures in the 50s still at this point. We're looking at 52 degrees. Glenn Shibrel, he's in Minooka, says areas in Minooka are flooded, and that's from yesterday's activity. And I've got a 51-degree temperature here from Steve Sweat in Ottawa, who says now to clean up the aftermath of the tornado. We'll have more on all that happened yesterday and all that you can expect coming up.
Well, I was just wondering, guys go in and everything came in. I saw that tree and I thought, oh, this ain't good.
Crews helping people in Missouri get out from under the wreckage. According to the Perry County clerk, an apparent tornado hit the town of Perryville, about 80 miles south of St. Louis. And this video just coming into our newsroom of the devastation as well. Just hard to see home after home just ripped apart. The storm killing at least one person there. More than a dozen people sent to the hospital after storm swept through White County, Arkansas as well. The Red Cross has opened a shelter in that area, and officials with the state's emergency management department says people are not allowed to assess the damage to their homes until at least 9 o'clock this morning.
And Megan, when the National Weather Service goes out, you said there are specific things they look for as far as the damage goes to determine whether it was a tornado and how strong it was.
Yeah, they have to look, they're going to look at the path, they're going to do aerial views to see, sometimes they can tell if it was one tornado that touched up and touched down again, or if it was a separate system altogether, and they can determine that by looking at different clues. It's almost like piecing together a puzzle to figure out what exactly happened. The radar shows a certain thing, but the radar just indicates where there could be what we call a tornado vortex signature. You got to get eyes on it to see that there actually is a tornado, and then after the fact, you've got to get out and look and see exactly, where the path is and how many tornadoes we did indeed have. What we're looking at is fog this morning. This morning out over our area roadways, you're going to have also a bit of ponding, so it's not going to be the easiest commute, not as terrible as other days, and certainly not as bad as if we were dealing with the intense storms right now. They have moved on past, and we're left with just a little bit of light rain and some rain/snow back on off to the west that'll slide through a bit later on into this afternoon. We've got those 7 tornado reports there, and those potentially, we're going to see several tornadoes out of that, I suspect. We've also got reports of hail upwards of 2 inches in spots, and now we're looking at a bit of a cool down. We've got 41 degrees at Gary, 41 for Midway, 40 Aurora and McHenry, 38 degrees for Waukegan, and 42 around O'Hare. You can see the rain transition over to a little bit of light snow into the evening. Very minor accumulations from that, but another storm system, this one an Alberta Clipper system, is going to slide through tomorrow late afternoon and right around the time for you to drive home, bringing us accumulating snow there. So this night, we're going to pick up maybe a couple tenths of an inch there, a little bit, maybe close to a half an inch up around the Wisconsin border, but then add the Clipper system into that, and we could have 1 to 2 additional inches on the ground. It may stick, but it won't stick for long, because today, while it's going to be in the 40s, it will be rain to snow, breezy and colder. We drop down overnight tonight to about the 20s, but then for your Thursday and Friday, we have rather cool days leading into much milder weather. Look at the weekend. We're going to be in the 50s and 60s going into next week. It's going to be a beautiful weekend with plenty of sunshine out there. That snow won't last long if it hits at all, Derek.
Sounds good, Megan. We have something to look forward to. Right now, we're looking at the tri-state at I-190. Conditions on the tri-state have been pretty good. Still kind of foggy from up above. Not too bad once you get down to the surface level. And we don't have any major delays on the tri-state or the 190 this morning. Rock Island line, we do have some mechanical problems. That is causing a slight delay on Metro. CTA looks good. And on the map here, we're just seeing a lot more congestion, particularly on the Stevenson and on the Kennedy and even on the Dan Ryan as we slow down at 47th Street and even more so at 31st Street going into our Byrne interchange. Drive time wise, the Kennedy trip 35 minutes inbound, 20 express, 27 on the outbound side. The Eisenhower's 44 in and 30 out to Route 53, and we have 37 inbound versus 18 outbound on the Stevenson. About 20 minutes approximately going into the Dan Ryan 25 from 95th to downtown. Back to you.
President Donald Trump still preparing his executive order on travel and immigration, one day after issuing his first address to a joint session of Congress. The president laid out his legislative goals last night, and with Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth there, took yet another swipe at Chicago.
In Chicago, more than 4,000 people were shot last year alone, and the murder rate so far this year has been even higher. This is not acceptable in our society.
The president also vowed to raise military spending and went after Obamacare.
Action is not a choice, it is a necessity. So I am calling on all Democrats and Republicans in Congress to work with us to save Americans from this imploding Obamacare disaster.
The Democrats responded to the president's address with a rousing defense of the Affordable Care Act. It came from the former governor of the deep red state of Kentucky, and he spoke directly to the president.
Does the Affordable Care Act need some repairs? Sure it does. But so far, every Republican idea to replace the Affordable Care Act would reduce the number of Americans covered, despite your promises to the contrary. Mr. President, folks here in Kentucky expect you to keep your word, because this isn't a game. It's life and death for people.
Congressional Democrats say Kentucky is a prime example of how Obamacare can work. Ahead on CBS this morning, reaction to President Trump's address. Norah O'Donnell is at the White House, and she'll interview Vice President Mike Pence. And Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Republican Senator Marco Rubio will also weigh in.
New this morning, back here at home, the Chicago Police Department releasing crime numbers for February. Last month, the city saw 44 murders and 167 shootings. This year so far, CPD reporting 94 murders with 399 total shooting incidents. Many of the numbers we're told are down slightly from this time last year. Earlier, we spoke with Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson, and he credited new crime-fighting technology in two of the highest crime areas.
Over the same time period last year in February, Inglewood had a 60% reduction in shooting incidents, and Harrison had a 40% reduction. So those numbers are huge, and while it's not success, that is progress, so it gives us room for optimism.
Johnson also says when it comes to Washington that he has not spoken directly to the administration, but would welcome more federal agents and more federal funding.
Health officials at Barrington High School have confirmed one case of the mumps and say there could be more. Symptoms of the mumps include swelling or pain close to the jaw on one or both sides of the face, headache, low-grade fever, earache, sore throat, and cough. Mumps is a virus, so not much can be done to treat it. The time between exposure and the appearance of the symptoms, usually between 16 and 18 days.
We are continuing to follow the devastation across parts of our area this morning after several tornadoes touched down. A live look right now from Ottawa. You can see trees and power lines are down. Dozens of homes are damaged, and this is not the only neighborhood they are affected.
CBS Primetime begins with an all-new Hunted at 7, followed by Criminal Minds at 8 and Bull at 9. Then on the CBS 2 News at 10, he's lived for 20 years in darkness.
Oh, hello. Yeah, there's a wall. Wow, never been so happy to see a wall before. Wow, yeah.
But now he has a second chance to see thanks to a new device for the blind. An original report tonight at 10.
Welcome back. A live look for you right now from Ottawa. We are just starting to see some of the extensive damage to parts of our areas after severe storms overnight. The sun is now rising and emergency crews are able to get a better handle of the situation. People are going to be going to their homes and assessing just how bad that damage is as well. 7
reported tornadoes. National Weather Service will be there now, Megan, that the sun is coming up, looking at the science of how those trees broke apart and the damage that they're looking at.
All that stuff, yeah. 7 reports of tornado activity out there. We don't know how many tornadoes because they've got to get out and, like you said, look at everything and determine how many there actually were. Because sometimes you can get a report of a tornado, but it's actually just one tornado touching up and down several times. Looking at the radar picture right now, it is nice and dry out there, but we do have more rain on the horizon today, and that could transition over to a little bit of snow before it wraps up. Very, very minimal on the accumulation front, though, today. Look at that line of storms still pummeling parts down around the Ohio River Valley, moving now into central Kentucky. It's going to continue progressing on off to the east, but it's lost quite a bit of steam out there. While we've got left over just a little bit of light snow, they still have all kinds of severe weather watches and warnings down to the south along the Ohio River, but up to the north, it's winter weather advisories. Not so for us because, again, Derek, it looks like we'll probably just pick up a couple tenths of an inch today. Maybe a different story, though, tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Megan. We'll start off here with Metro. We do have some Rock Island delays due to earlier mechanical problems. CTA still doing fine on the buses and the trains. Road-wise, it is congestion. Lots of it as we go inbound, especially as we get closer to the city. We're going to start you down south here, taking a look at what's happening on the Tri-State at the Hinsdale Oasis. Southbound traffic a little bit heavy here. Northbound looking pretty good. And from here, we'll go over to the Dan Ryan where that drive is increasing. It is now 26 minutes to downtown. We've got about 30 minutes as we go inbound on the Stevenson. Aaron and Lionel.
Derek, thank you. The National Weather Service expected to survey the damage again today from several reported tornadoes.
A live look from Naplate, again, one of the hardest hit areas we're seeing right now. A live report from Susanna Song, who's been there all morning, just ahead. Welcome back. As the sun is rising, we are getting a better look at the damage caused by yesterday's tornadoes.
One person is dead, several others injured after severe weather hit LaSalle County. CBS 2's Mike Puccinelli is live in Ottawa. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, this late winter storm hit in the late afternoon, and many people saw it roar into town at around 4:45. By the time it passed through this picturesque river town about 85 miles southwest of the Loop, one person had been killed and at least 15 others had been injured, enough to be sent to area hospitals. Onetha Hubbard was in her Ottawa home when the storm hit. Her son was there too. She says he initially didn't think it was as bad as she did, but as the twister approached, they both decided it was better to seek cover.
It wasn't pleasant, let me tell you. He looked out the basement window and he says, "Mom, the tree is on your truck." It did some damage to the house all the way around, completely.
And back live now, we're looking at the intersection of State and Campbell. That's Campbell Street that you're looking at right now, one of the many streets in this town blocked by fallen trees. Of course, power out here as well. Ameren working on that as we speak. Reporting live in Ottawa, Mike Puccinelli, CBS 2 News. Aaron, Lionel?
Really will be a tough morning for them, Mike. Thank you. Susanna Song has been just a few miles down the road in Naplate with a look at the devastation there, and you're getting a closer look now.
Yeah, Lionel, this is one section of town hit hard by the tornado, but certainly not the worst of it. You can see all this debris here at this intersection. 50 of the 200 homes had damage because of the tornado. I did speak with the mayor of Naplate, and he couldn't hold back his tears.
Seeing a lot of the homes I know where people live, and they're gone.
What's next to get people back on their feet into their homes?
Well, like I say, we got a plan in place, and we'll start on that this morning and clean it up and move forward.
The emergency plan worked out perfectly here in Naplate. The sirens went off 15 minutes before the tornado touched down. I want to leave you with more pictures of the destruction here in Naplate. You can see siding off of this home, power poles and utility poles down. Just a lot of damage that the residents here will have to sift through all morning long. Aaron, Lionel?
Yeah, hard to hear from the mayor there, Susanna. Thank you. And we heard from the fire chief, Megan, saying that this was the first time a tornado hit that village.
And you know, tornadoes can hit anywhere, really, at any point. And proof positive, we shouldn't be really having that kind of activity in February, but here we go. It was the last day of February and much more like May. Now we're going to get a little bit of rain changing over to snow later on today, and that's going to be a sort of situation which will bring about very, very minor, you know, measuring in tenths of an inch of snow. But by tomorrow, we're looking at another system that could potentially bring us maybe 1 to 2 inches. Can you go figure? We haven't had anything since the middle of December, and now it's March, and here we go with some snow, but it will be warm again by the weekend and into next week.
All right, our Kennedy drive time, 39 minutes inbound, 32 on the outbound side. The Stevenson trip, 35 to Lakeshore Drive.
All right, Dirk, thank you. We leave you with another shot of Naplate. Again, a lot of people waking up this morning, assessing the damage from the storms overnight.
And one of the people who will be there will be Governor Bruce Rauner. Stay with CBS Chicago for continuing coverage. Have a good morning.